This week you conduct the Concertgebouworkest in Schubert's Ouverture Rosamunde, Brahms' Violin Concerto in Schumann's Third Symphony. I heard that the Ouverture Rosamunde doesn't exist. Schubert didn't write an overture to the play, but still you're conducting a piece with this title. Can you explain me how this is possible?
Schubert wrote music, incidental music to the drama, and this overture was not specifically written with that in mind, but is often played in connection with it, and I think traditionally was. You know, they weren't so formal about things back then, and you know, Bach and Mozart and Schubert and these guys mixed and matched, and especially Bach would take music that he had written before and bring it back and transpose it and give it to other instruments, and it's a little bit in that tradition that this music has traditionally been played, and even though it wasn't maybe written with as a concept with the other music that Schubert wrote, it's become known as the Rosamunde, and it's a fantastic piece anyway. Schumann's Third Symphony, the so-called Rheinische, the Rhenish Symphony, is a very special symphony in many ways. It is said that the people of the Rhine region of Germany are happy and outgoing. In any case, I think that's true, but in any case, this symphony is probably the most obviously happy and outgoing of the symphonies. It starts right away with no introduction. All of the other Schumann symphonies start with an introduction before the body of the first movement goes. This one just explodes into a kind of happy, joyous, wonderful, positive mood. There are the traditional movements. There's a wonderful kind of gentle scherzo. That's the second movement. It supposedly depicts rowing down the river and this kind of just comfortable outdoor afternoon scene with a little bit of chattering and gossip and discussion. One of the beautiful slow movements. Schumann is known for his songs and his expressive, wonderful traditional slow movements, but then the added movement is this fourth movement, and it's a very special atmosphere where the trombones play chorale. It sounds very much like old-fashioned church music, and the story goes that Schumann was in Cologne, in Köln, and was so impressed by the dome, the wonderful, incredibly large, impressive cathedral there, that this music represents his reaction to that. And I think you can almost hear it. There's this music, the chorale-like intertwining lines at the beginning of the movement with the trombones, traditionally a church instrument. They are supported by these heartbeat-like pizzicatos, where the strings pluck their strings and plop, plop, plop. You can almost feel his heart palpitating at the side of this chorale. So that's in a way the added movement. It adds a certain spiritual dimension to the symphony. And the last movement is a almost Mendelssohnian kind of light-hearted, gentle movement that ends with a triumphant and heroic finish. But all in all, it's one of the great symphonies.
In the season 2009-2010, you will start as music director of the New York Philharmonic. You have a lifelong connection with this orchestra. Can you tell something about that?
It's a very special opportunity to have been asked to be the music director in New York, where I grew up. I think any conductor would be thrilled and excited and honored to be asked to be music director of the New York Philharmonic. It's truly one of the great orchestras. But for me, I dare say it may even have a more special kind of meaning, since I grew up around the orchestra. Both my parents were violinists in the orchestra. In fact, my mother is still playing in the orchestra, And it's it's a dream come true, or it's even, I should say, a dream that I never would have dared to dream come true, because it's not the kind of thing that you can plan for. I love New York, I love the orchestra, and I'm very excited about being able to do many projects there.
And how do you think that's going to work, conducting your own mother?
Well, there are some funny stories that people have apparently heard about and talked about. I get asked about them actually all around the world when I conduct. There have been some funny moments that have come up because it's pretty unusual. There was one time where I something happened in the violins, and it actually was my mother's mistake. She made a small mistake, and so I turned to the violins, and you could tell the whole orchestra was wondering, what is he going to say? It's his mother there. And so I said, the first thing that came into my head was, Mom. And people started to laugh, because to hear the word mom in the context of a serious orchestra rehearsal and have it make complete sense was so funny, and it just became more and more funny the more people thought about it. This was actually the very first rehearsal I ever did with the orchestra, and it was so much laughter that the people from the upstairs offices, 4 floors above the stage, heard it on their speakers, and they came down to see what was happening, and it was a very unusual moment, but very charming. And I have to say that the more I've conducted the orchestra, because I've conducted the orchestra a lot by now, the less I think about it. I think the less it's an issue. It is no issue, because in fact there's so much work to do, and it's such an important, serious relationship that doesn't take over. Luckily she plays very well. There are no problems with her participation, so it's very nice to have her there.